Welcome back to one of my favorite sports podcasts, Frizz and the Grizz, with your host Trudeau and my guy, Frizzy Frizz.
Hello, welcome back to Frizz and the Grizz. Thank you for joining us live on Tuesday, May 28th, or next day on podcasts, Apple, Spotify, all those good places. Hook your boys up, rate, subscribe, review. Also hook your boy Frizzy Frizz up. Follow that Twitch, Frizzy_Frizz5. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct. I know sometimes people miss the underscores, but you got that one.
I'm on it today. You know, I've been getting killed with these weeks off, but we're back to back, like Drake would say in the song. I'm feeling good. I'm bringing the energy. I am sharp. D, how are you after the long weekend?
I'm good. I'm going to give a huge shout out for anybody that's listening that played college ball with us. You just said I'm on it. And do you know what the first thing I thought of when you said I'm on it? Please, you might not get it actually.
I don't get it.
It's a reference to Coach Perry. Do you remember Coach Perry, the defensive backs coach at UMass?
Yes.
So he would say on it like a bonnet every time. If somebody would knock down a pass or pick it off, he's like, he's on it like a bonnet. And I could not unthink that when you said that. So thank you for bringing me back to 2008 and our defensive backs coach yelling random shit in the middle of practice. So thank you. The week's good, though. Week's been really good, especially with the holiday that just ended.
I'm glad you mentioned the football thing because I had a weird callback to a football expression actually this weekend with my wife. So we went through potty training.
Okay.
I'll tell you, if you haven't gone through potty training yet, it fucking sucks. Like it drains your whole week. My entire Memorial Day weekend was cleaning up piss and running children to the bathroom. Anyways, so it was miserable first couple of days. We're sitting there Sunday night, just exhausted, beat and broken. And I'm like, I had a football coach, head coach, Coach Robichaud.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we had a season we started 0-4, and he started saying this phrase, "Fight the suck," and I was like, "We just got to fight the suck." And she's like, "How did that turn out for you guys?" And I'm like,
0-10.
We finished 0-10. She's like, "What's the moral here?" I'm like, "Sometimes shit just sucks." I guess I have no idea. There's no moral
about it. There's no victory for it. There's no happy ending for it. It's just fight through the suck. It's just can't do nothing about it.
Hey, here's what it is, man. So, but we're back. We're here. We have a lot of good sports stuff, probably mostly basketball, a lot of NBA stuff. Even though the conference finals haven't been super exciting thus far, we'll still dive into it and be jumping to a finals preview. I know D wants to talk to WNBA. I do have a truth teller segment where we have a sports conspiracy. It is basketball related.
Okay.
We have a lot of good stuff in the recap to kind of go over some of the various headlines from the week. I think the recap this week's gonna be really, really good.
Okay.
Before we get started with the show, I did find a story interesting this week. I want to get your opinion on it.
Yeah.
Did you see what's going on with Ticketmaster and Live Nation? Because I fucking hate Ticketmaster.
I would imagine they're probably like missing out on tickets or improperly selling tickets, probably doubling up on people.
No. The Department of Justice, the U.S. Department of Justice, the DOJ, is looking to take them down as being a monopoly. Split them up, Ticketmaster, Live Nation. So they basically, Ticketmaster bought Live Nation.
Okay.
You want to buy tickets to anything, they own all of that shit. So they
out there,
they jack up the fees and everything. You buy a ticket to any show, you're paying like 40% in fees. I'm super stoked that they might take down this monopoly and make going to concerts and sporting events reasonable again.
Makes sense, but yeah, I'm asking just because I'm not in the whole live event venue like you are when it comes to like concerts and whatnot. Is StubHub not like considered something like that?
That's a secondary resale. So like whatever you're paying on Ticketmaster, you're paying that plus like probably 20% extra to rebuy the resale.
Got you. That sucks.
Yeah. Terrible. It is impossible to go to anything live. It's super expensive nowadays. I hate it.
I mean, not unless you live down here where it's $30 for a Panthers ticket, $20 for a Hornets ticket, like, front row because they suck.
That is the worst thing about living up here in New England and around the Boston area. People love their professional sports, and it's crazy to go to any sporting event.
Very true. Very true.
Especially when they're all good.
Yeah.
Right.
You got one good one up there now. Sure, we'll talk about it.
Let's transition again to the quick hits segment.
Let's catch up on some of the sports headlines from the week. This time for quick hits with my boy Trudeau.
Big week in sports business. The NBA set their broadcast deal this week, $7 billion a year. $7 billion a year. Disney gets the A package, meaning they get the NBA Finals and Conference Finals. Amazon and NBC are also in there. TNT, see you later. No more basketball on TNT. Interesting thing about this, 10% cap growth a year with this. That means the max salary at the end of this deal, $72 million a year. TNT does buy some college football playoff rights from ESPN, so they're back in the sports game. We have the NCAA Power 5 schools agreeing to pay the players. Big one for me, venture capital is sneaking into college athletics after the post-House versus NCAA settlement. Redbird Capital is a big player here. Cavs fire JB Bickerstaff after making the playoffs twice in a row. Bill Walton, RIP, passes the age of 72. Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Atlanta Braves, done for the season with the torn ACL. He was the NL MVP last year. Angel Hernandez is quote-unquote retiring after 3 decades in baseball, widely regarded as the worst umpire of all time. He's getting forced out. Fun fact, he called 10 games last year, missed 161 calls in those 10 games, which means he missed 16 calls a game. Terrible. And that is your sporting update. Ooh, that was a lot to get out. D, where do you want to start?
So, I mean, the easiest one for me to go to is easily the NBA rights being lost. It's like very similar to, or the feeling is very similar to when we knew there was not going to be any more football games besides just EA Sports produced, or no more college football games produced because of the whole lawsuits and whatnot. I think the NBA losing the right, or the TNT losing the prime time rights to NBA basketball is going to take a step backwards in viewership. I think the game is still going to grow, but inside the NBA with Chuck, Kenny, Ernie, and Shaq, obviously it started with Kenny, with not Kenny. Home dude, Ernie. Started with Ernie back in like the 90s, and he grew it into just like a segment pre and post games on primetime where it was like joking segments. It was like family oriented fun that brought people into watching basketball, and their recaps post games, more importantly their analysis pre-game, and then obviously like the jokes and whatnot that they would have when they brought Chuck in, and then when they brought Shaq in. Like it just made it watchable for the normal viewer. And I think when you get rid of that, you got to try to replace it with something. And I think the voices of NBC are kind of gone. If I remember correctly, it was like Bob Costas and Ahmad Rashad. They're like in their 80s. Like that's not people that are going to carry pre and post game sports on NBC. So I hope it doesn't get NFL announcers that try to talk NBA, because I don't know if I like that too much.
Yeah, I think the one thing that we're going to miss with the TNT using the broadcast is, like you said, I don't know if they'll be able to either still do NBA on TNT, like pre and post game show, and just kind of work it around the other programming. Maybe they'll all
breaking up.
I don't know. Maybe they'll come back to somewhere else. But like for me, that inside the NBA crew, well, then a lot of studio shows have tried this, whether it be NFL or NBA. It's like they really do love each other, and it's just like I watch it with my wife. She's like, "This is so dumb," and I'm like, I know it's perfect, isn't it? Like you can't recreate that, and it's going to be sad because a lot of the sports commentary is so serious nowadays. We can't have fun with it. Do I think Shaq and Chuck are really sharp minds when it comes to basketball insight? No, but it's fun as hell. I enjoy it. It's going to be sad. I heard Disney snuck back in last minute, like they were out of the deal. They snuck back in to get the A package, which basically gives them the prime games, the finals and stuff. So that'll be your ABC games. Disney will still have like the Christmas ABC and all that stuff. Amazon's interesting. I know they're trying into every sports market now. Amazon's an NFL. I'm sure. I know Apple TV has grabbed some MLB stuff, and they've also grabbed MLS. I don't like it. I've watched some of the Amazon stuff for NFL. I hate it. Really, I don't really like the Thursday night on Amazon. But go ahead. I don't know what's really doing for them. It's just creating another app I have to have open to watch NBA.
Well, I was actually going to speak on what you just said, meaning 5 years ago, everybody and their mother cut the cable, cut the cord. Don't want to deal with it. Don't want fucking cable. I don't want to deal with it. But now, like all these sports genre or organizations, or even just like movies and shows that you want to watch, they're all going to the apps. But you got to pay for the apps. You got 7, 8, 9 apps on your phone, TNT, Apple TV, you got Disney Plus, you got Netflix, you got Hulu, you got Max, all the Prime, whatever you got, right? And they're like $10, $15 each. Same fucking cost as cable. It's literally like catching up there when it comes to, I mean, there are some people that pay like $200 for internet and cable. So like, I ain't saying it's that. But if you got 10 apps to watch TV, man, $10 an app, that's $100 then internet.
Maybe you're overblowing it a little because a lot of those apps aren't actually live TV. Like Disney Plus is just your catalog of all the Disney shows. I know what you mean though. Like
it's catching up. It's getting very close to everybody saying they're cutting the cord. But
what was the channel that Biddy was on here promoting? Pluto TV.
Pluto
TV. There you go. Get you Pluto.
Pluto TV pops up for all these pop-ups whenever you're trying to do like illegal sports streams.
You know what I do?
Here.
You know what I do really hate though with all the streaming apps is that like I purchase. I know you don't use this East Streams or whatever. I purchased the NBA League Pass and I can't watch games on TNT or other like national televised games. I can't watch them on the NBA app. So it's like another thing where Amazon's going to grab more games I have to switch apps for. But I think that we missed the big story here is that the salary cap is going to get a huge bump because $7 billion a year is like way more than I thought it was going to be for the NBA rights, for the television rights. So I think over the next 5 years, the cap's projected to grow 10% each year. So we're looking at the max salary by the last year is $72 million. That's going to make, I know everyone lost their mind over Jaylen Brown's contract. That's going to make that look like a mid-level exception by the time it gets to year 4 or 5.
Yeah, but there's also going to be tiers. Like that's how it always happens, especially when it comes to max contracts. Like there's still going to be like a certain player makes a percentage of the cap. So like you could have the cap be $100 million and your max player can get 50. Well, that's obviously 50%. But if if the salary cap goes to $200 million and then they raise the max cap for that same player to $100 million, still 50% of the cap, right? So like I feel like it's not going to be just an increase in cap, but no increase in max salary, right? They're gonna increase it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, the cap goes up, but you're gonna see what you see in the NFL where Jared Goff is at one point the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, and then a week later it's Deshaun Watson, and then a week after that it's Patrick Mahomes, and then a week after that it's somebody else. So it's like the number really won't matter. It's just the percentage of what a max player, all NBA player can take a part of the salary cap.
All I'm saying is with the Supermax contract eligibility, we're going to see with the next 10 years players making $1 million per game, $82 million a year, which is crazy. I mean, good for them. Get that bag. Obviously, it's worth it because the NBA is like printing money with these television rights deals.
Well, they're about to continuously get paid because there is one Frenchman that is taking over the NBA, just like Yao Ming was in the middle of the 2000s.
Would you go there?
Yes. Fucking go for it. Oh my goodness.
We'll talk on the Wolves in a minute. The one other thing I want to bring up, and I mentioned to you in a text of the venture capital thing. So with all these lawsuits getting settled with NCAA, it opens the door for venture capital getting in. I don't know if you know what venture capital is, D.
Nope.
So there was a recent case study with venture capital and Red Lobster. Have you heard what happened to Red Lobster?
No, but I love Red Lobster.
Yeah, they filed bankruptcy. They're done.
Oh.
So
they shut down Red Lobster.
Tragedy. So venture capital is basically like these investment firms that will give you an influx of money, and the idea is that you take in some of their guys. Like so you're a big business, you need some money, you fall in some hard times. Venture capital comes in, they'll give you a bunch of money, they'll give you enough money to right the ship, but here's the catch: we want one of our guys to kind of go in there and help you manage it to make sure like we get our money back, because the venture capital, basically, they're like, we don't want our money back. It's fine. But we want 10% of all your profits over like the next 20 years. So like, damn, our incentive is for you to do well and we make money. So with venture capital looking into college athletics, we all know how college athletics work. Basically, it's like it's run at a loss. Like you don't put money into college athletics to make a profit. That's not how it works. Like boosters throw money at college athletics, try to get guys in so your school wins. Like that's how it's always worked.
Right.
You start letting venture capital, and these people don't give a shit about prestige. They don't give a shit about your history, about championships. What do they want? They want that 10%. You better be profitable. You start getting this type of money influx into college football, it's going to be all about the dollar, and they're going to be cut corners left and right to make that profit. So as a college football fan like you are, you start seeing schools accept this money potentially, you're opening the floodgates to the demise of college athletics, in my opinion.
So I've already talked about like I finally was if there was a side of the fence to be on, I was hard stop with the whole paying of players, and then essentially the NIL was like I'm not fighting this battle anymore. Like if people want to get paid, they get paid. Secure your bag, secure your money. But I also know that it's changed the landscape of college football because of it. And I won't say so much of college basketball. People are already doing shit on basketball teams. Like there's no way Cal wasn't slipping bread, you know what I'm saying? But like college football, now you have guys that were top tier recruits going to Colorado, right? Or going to Ball State because they can get, the bag for it. And it's flipping the way that you can recruit because of it. If you're adding a factor of like, essentially like, the Italian mafia, where it's like, yo, man, if this shit doesn't get taken care of the right way, there's gonna be problems. I don't know how that's gonna look for college athletics in like 10 years. Like I'm not a fan of the whole bread, but I'm just finally accepting it. I just don't want to see the game change, the game that I love as much as I do, change because of money. And that's where it sounds like it's starting to go.
It's becoming a full-blown business, man, everywhere. Like now that the floodgates are open, I mean, to me, the administrations at these college athletic facilities have always been about getting that bread, right? They're always about trying to get as much booster money as possible. But now that the floodgates are open, these people are looking around like, well, let's hit for a lick before we get out of here. Like, let's say you're a college athletic director, and you're unsure of your job, right? Maybe I get this venture capital influx of money, and I could save my ass for a few years. Fuck them kids down the line 10 years from now when they milk this school dry. I'll hit for my lick and get out of here. So like, it's just another thing where like the people who are at the top, the ads, the people in the boardrooms, they'll be all right. They'll probably make out real well with this type of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said,
I was gonna say, like, the athletes, the kids, the fans, the people who love the sport, it ain't looking good for y'all.
We'll see, man. We'll see. Not a fan of that so far.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I thought there was some interesting headlines. Was there anything else that caught your fancy before we move on?
Those were the two that I wrote down, so you basically hit on those.
All right, let's jump into our conference finals. We might be looking at the best/worst conference finals of all time. I'm joking about the best. It could be the worst. Could have double sweeps, which is crazy. I say best because, like, while these games have gone one way every time, they've actually been sneaky, wildly close in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the Celtics finally win a game less than 10 points because they were blowing out their opponents. So the Pacers had 3 games that were decided by 1 possession or less, or 2 possessions or less, and then game 2 was the only blowout. And then we see the back and forth with the Wolves and the Mavs also, in which I won't say that they come down to last second shots, but we saw last second shot with Luka in game 2, and then we saw a last second miss at the end of game 1. So like they're entertaining. The only blowout or essentially like multi-possession game was game 3 for the Mavs Wolves series. So like they've all been decided by pretty close, I would say, amounts at least.
Yeah, we can jump back between the 2 series. I told you before the playoffs, like we did that Is That Anything segment. We had like all the stats and shit, and I gave you one pretty alarming stat about message. You just need to yell message every time that happens. We had one alarming stat about crunch time numbers, and I told you 2 playoff teams were bottom 3 in crunch time numbers, like as far as like the end of game situations within 5 points. Miami Heat was one of them. I called them frauds. They obviously got bounced early, not to their fault though, without Jimmy Butler. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, and you said, "Oh, don't matter if you're not in close games." And here we are now, right? We have 3 games where they're in close games at the end, and that ugly heads reared itself with the crunch time stats. I have 2 crazy stats for you once I get done with this, though. If you want to hear them now, or do you want me to wait?
Go ahead.
All right. So as far as, like I said, the series have not been competitive as far as a overall record. 2 crazy stats. Number 1, Minnesota Timberwolves, Dallas Mavericks, 3-0 in favor of the Mavericks. combined margin in this series right now after 3 games, plus 13 points in favor of the Mavericks. So they're winning by an average of like 3 points a game, which is like super tight. These games could have gone either way with a couple mistakes here or there.
That was with one of them being a 9-point game.
Yeah, first 2 series, first 2 games were crazy.
3-point game, and game 2 was a last-second shot by Luka.
Here's a crazy stat I heard today. Obviously, we feel like the Celtics stomped on the Pacers, especially without Tyrese Halliburton. In 3 games, in games 1, 3, and 4, the Pacers hit a win probability of 90% in the fourth quarter in all 3 of those games. So, like, they were in the fourth quarter, the Pacers had a 90% probability of winning those games, 1, 3, and 4, and ended up by losing all 3 of them.
Yeah, so I'm glad you actually brought that up, because as much as we gave the flowers for Rick Carlisle in the New York Knicks series for being able to work the referees or manage his roster a specific way to have them functioning properly at the end of that series, he played this team like dog shit at the end of each game. There was no there was no structure when they had leads against the Celtics. And not only did they blow leads, but like they had embarrassing turnovers, just like skits of like random times of just not scoring for like 2 minutes with like 5 minutes left in the game while winning. And it's like, you got to find a way to get your team to be composed. And that, I think it was game 1, the blunder with the out of bounds pass.
Yeah, he didn't call timeout. He could have called timeout and advanced the ball.
So it wasn't even the fact that he didn't call timeout there, but like you had a non-point guard passing the ball in. There's a problem right there. I don't care how short TJ McConnell is or if Tyrese Halliburton is your best free throw shooter. Somebody that can make a right decision needs to be inbounding the ball. Number 2 was, I believe it was Pascal Siakam that tipped the ball. And when he was running, he was sprinting out of bounds. Like, even if he caught the ball with the play that they designed, even if he caught the ball, he was like a step from stepping out of bounds, so he would probably fucking run out of bounds anyway. And then to compound off of all this, they still had the lead by 3. And I understand, and at the end of the game, there's, do you foul or do you not foul? Do you foul, do you not foul? Catch and shoot, no, you don't. But something's got to go through your mind, especially when you're Pascal Siakam, all-NBA style player, finals player. Like, he's been in the moments. He's been there before. Jaylen Brown catches that corner pass, and he pump fakes. Once he's done with the pump fake, fucking hug him. But, like, that's not going through their mind because it's not taught. Like, Rick Carlisle should have said, hey, quick shot, let him shoot. But if he puts the ball on the ground or he pump fakes, hug him. Let him go to the free throw line. 70% free throw shooter for his career. I think this was his worst season that he shot at the free throw line. And they would have only shot 2 versus hitting the game-tying 3. So it was just like blunder after blunder after blunder. And that's all coaching. I don't care what you say about the players. And that led to, I said, that's the game they had to win. Because Boston's not going to let you do that twice. In which they kind of did. You said it. They had a win probability of 90% or more in all the games. So they kind of kept them in it. But once they lost that game, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a gentleman's sweep. And lo and behold, they just got actually swept.
Yeah, the Celtics wanted to do the Celtics thing and like give up games in this series. They tried to give up several games. Even game 3, I think they had a chance to either win the Pacers or just hold on to the ball and force something. And it was just terrible turnover. Drew Holiday stealing the ball. Just time and time after this Pacers team blundered opportunities. It could have easily been 2-2 at this point right now. And we're sitting here with Celtics finals.
Game 3 was the kid that had the game of his life. Not Aaron Nesmith, but the other one. He's not a rookie. I'm terrible with the names because Nembhard.
Yeah, Andrew Nembhard. I was trying to think who you're talking about.
He had a career game, 32 points, right? And you're gonna dribble the ball up, that's fine, but like he just crossed left to right and then got bodied. He just fell over. It's like the game is on the line, and that's the turnover that you got, man. Like, come on. And this again, it's all just not being prepared for the moment, and I'm gonna always put that on coaching.
Can we talk like bigger picture? Like, let's get outside like these 4 games as far as the Celtics and Pacers. like number one, like the Pacers, shout outs to them to make it this far. Like this wasn't, we would think had Eastern Conference Finals aspirations. They got some young guys. I think they're going to re-sign Pascal Siakam. I like what they got going on.
Mhm.
My biggest question is this: like we know with the Boston Celtics in the past, they've always been a super talented team. They got superstars. We like their coach, but for some reason, every year they just do some dumb shit and implode in the playoffs. Like they have this aura about these playoff blunders. I know they're in the finals right now, but like they haven't proven anything to me. Like when the shit hits the fan, right? When it's not cutting time, like who are they? To me, like this playoff run for the Boston Celtics has been 3 buys. Bye. Like it's straight buys to the finals. You play the Heat without Jimmy Butler, okay. You play a Cavs team that went to 7 with Orlando. They lose Donovan Mitchell after game 2, okay. And the same thing happens with this Pacer team. They went to game 7. You lose your star after 2 games. This Boston team hasn't been pushed. And I look on the flip side, I'm assuming we don't see the greatest comeback of all time in this series, and we get the Mavs in the finals. This Mavs team has gone through hell this playoffs, and they've had to prove it in really tough situations. On one side, you got a team that hasn't had to face the fire, and the other teams went through hell. So I don't know how they're going to react to Boston Celtics when they actually have a high level competition in front of them. Do you think that this is just hyperbole by me, or do you think there's some validity to this?
No, I think you're like 50-50 is where I would say for it. Whereas I don't want this to as much as I fucking hate having to admit this because I can't stand the Celtics. It's not their fault. It isn't. You got to play the people that are in front of you, and they could have had the playoff blunder against the Cavs when Donovan went down. They could have had the playoff blunder against the Heat without Jimmy, right? Like these things happen. They could have had a playoff blunder against Indy and they didn't. So like, I'm not going to say that they've grown because like the level of competition when you have the Heat, Cavs and the Pacers not have their star player on the court, but they prove that they can at least close for now. I'm not ready to say that like if they get Dallas, like, oh, well, this is just another and this is just like a clean sweep. Look, getting to the NBA finals, it's still extremely difficult. So like I'm not gonna knock them for that. And I'm not even gonna say like this is the easiest championship ever. No, you fucking win the finals, you win the finals. I'll give them their flowers, right? As much as I talk shit. But
Hey,
I think if they get Dallas, you're going to get it's going to be their toughest competition, and it has nothing to do with number 77. It has 100% to do with number 11. Like this is something you fucking write in a Hollywood script. If the Mavs make the finals, prepare yourselves, Boston, to see Kyrie Irving Game 7 Cavs every fucking night. He is literally going to try to rip the throats out for everybody that is in Boston. I hope you guys are prepared for that backlash.
I don't think Boston's ready for this, man. Like regular season games, people were losing their minds. Maybe a playoff. This is the NBA final versus your arch nemesis. It's going to be insane up here.
This would be, I think, worse than
anyone.
I think it would be worse than if the Bucks played the Patriots in the Super Bowl and the Bucks won when Brady was on the team. I think they'd be like, well, it's Brady. He gave us 6. Whatever, like, hey, he gave us 6, he got his 1 without us, fine. But with it being Kyrie Irving, like, motherfuckers hated him. When he had the jersey on, they hated him. Let alone when he goes to Dallas and meets them in the finals. Oh, this is
I want bro to come in on game 1 of the finals and start saging the arena. That's all.
Just want to see the sage. Just let him do his thing. People will go bananas. This is going to be an incredible series if they hold up. Currently, the Wolves are up 10-7, but in the event that the Wolves can't make history and come back from down 3-0, that is going to be an incredible series against the Mavs.
Knowing how this has gone for the Celtics this postseason, I guarantee I don't want to put the juju out there. I'm just joking. No, I'm taking the juju away. But somebody's going to get hurt on the Mavs tonight. Like Kyrie's going to get hurt and be out for the series because that's just the way the Celtics have done this playoffs. Everyone they play, someone gets hurt.
I really hope not, man. Like, don't even put that in the air.
I'm just kidding. The one other thing I want to say on the Celtics before we move on to the other conference finals is I really would have liked to see, if I'm a Celtics fan, Kristaps Porzingis go out and play like 12 minutes or something in the game 4, or like get some playing time. The man's been out since round 1 of the playoffs. He's basically been off the court playing basketball for a month almost. It's really hard to drop right in to the NBA finals after not playing for a month and expect to play at a high level. You would have liked to see some sort of ramp up. I know he'll be there at this point for the NBA finals, but like, what is he going to look like? Because he's a huge part of what they do. And on the flip side, with the Mavs, part of their success this postseason has really been the Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively combination at the center. And they really need someone to step up in the series for the Celtics to counter that. Shout out to Big Al, but like, he's getting up there in age, so I can't expect him to hold it down himself.
I don't know if I can honestly like downplay Al Horford anymore. Like, we keep saying he's getting up there in age, but he's making chase down blocks against point guards. So like, and he's hitting 7 threes in the corner. Like, he had an incredible series. I don't want to say that I think they take a step backwards if they kind of input Porzingis in there. I don't want to say that yet, but like, the production that you're getting from Al Horford, how do you take that away? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you just remove him as the piece where he's out there being a helpful defensive anchor? He is out there hitting jump shots like when it's needed.
Yeah,
a liability, but you're going to take away time to put in somebody that's been out for a month. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not coaching. I don't want to be a coach.
On the flip side, though, like Miles Turner and the Indiana Pacers, like that's a better matchup for Al Horford because Miles Turner is more perimeter guy. He's not going to bang as much. Lively and Gafford are rim runners that are super athletic. So it's going to be a lot more tough this series for Al Horford coming up.
We're just saying it like the series is over. It ain't over, but
it's. I mean, I think it's like 152-0 all time. Teams
never happened. It's happened like 3 times in American sports. I think the Pros involved with it twice.
It's gonna happen at some point because like up until like 5 years ago, we'd never seen a 16 seed beat a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Now it's happened like twice since then.
True.
So, like, we're due for a 4-0 down 0-3 comeback. I don't think it's going to be. Maybe it's this one. I'm hoping. I got bread on it. So like, come on, Timberwolves.
10 years away from a 3-1 comeback. So it's there's just one more game essentially.
I mean, why not this year? I threw $2.
Right? The shirts again. You got the bread on them, right?
$2 for Minnesota championship to pay out like $70. Let's go.
Where's Kevin Millar and Jason Veritek? Why not us? Right? Like that's the shirts that they should be putting out right now.
They need to be drinking beer right now in pregame warm-ups. That's what the Sox did. It worked.
Because that's what caused them to lose. I remember that shit was pissed me off. Talk about that.
Speaking on the other series, the Cavs versus the Mavs, versus the Timberwolves. I did want to play back a sound that I found from a year ago. It was more than a year ago. It was February 21st, 2023. This is like a year and a half ago. We had a guy in the podcast who was batshit crazy, but he was cool. I think it was a Jimmy Mute.
Yep.
Jimmy Mute out of Chicago came on the podcast. And he had this spicy take at the time. This is a year and a half ago. This was his spicy take. All right. So just to wrap up the West, we asked this question, me and Darian, probably 3 weeks ago now. Like, who you believe in? Who do you believe is contenders? What team, Jimmy? I'll ask you in the West. List the teams. You can list as many as you want, or as little as you want. Teams that you think legitimately have a chance not to make the playoffs, not to make the conference finals. This team could be an NBA champion this year. I think I had 3 before, and I think now it's down to 2. So I'm curious with you, what teams, in your opinion, legitimate championship contenders?
In the Western Conference?
Yeah.
Dallas.
Ooh.
I don't think either one of us had that.
Nah.
Legitimately win Dallas with Kyrie Irving.
They play no defense.
Yeah, that's true. It's no defense there, but nobody sticks D now. Like, who's the best Western Conference defensive team? And then again, we're gonna go back So like if they do end up in the 4th or 5th seed, they probably play Phoenix or the Clippers. The Clippers could be the worst of their worries with the defense right there. That'd be the worst.
It's probably the Clippers with the best defensive team, just by name.
Yeah, but you still outscore them.
I just love how not only did he say that the Western Conference would be won by the Dallas Mavericks, but they would play the Clippers in a 4 or 5 matchup and beat them. And that's exactly what happened this year.
He was on point, just a year off. On point.
But speaking on this series, it's been wild, man. The Mavericks obviously have 2 superstar scorers in Luke and Kyrie. They do it a little differently. But 2 superstar scorers nonetheless. I think the most impressive thing for me with the Dallas Mavericks this playoff run, they went from like a middle of the pack defense to like an elite, like in the playoffs, their defensive points per 100 possessions would be like top 5 in the regular season. And largely because of the unsung heroes of this team, your Derek Lively, your Daniel Gafford, your PJ Washington, these guys have really stepped up defensively. And for a Minnesota team that often struggles to find points outside of Edwards, they've really put the clamps on them.
Yeah, I don't even think it's more of an offensive strategy. Defensive strategy. I think it's more on the offensive side of things. Meaning we talked about how good Timberwolves defense was. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was say just I slightly disagree, and I would just say that as far as the Mavericks scoring, as far as points per 100 possession, they're actually scoring less right now per 100 possession than they were in the regular season. So Minnesota's actually lowering their offensive efficiency at the moment.
They may be, but scoring across the league is down. So I won't say that's just the T-Wolves defensive thing. What I would say is the Wolves' inconsistencies on offense are led because of 2 players that are extremely inefficient right now. It's the mini kitten and it's the Gobert. Gobert is already a offensive liability. If it's not a rebound dunk or rebound putback, usually not a bucket from him outside of the random 1-foot Dirk Nowitzki fucking fade that he hit on.
That was dope though.
It looked good, man. Like, and I was like, that's so unathletic. But like that was the only time that he's hit something outside of the paint, right? And it was a once in a lifetime shot. But if Edwards is getting pressed at half court, which the Mavs have done an extremely good job of doing that, as soon as he crosses half court, somebody press him and then sprint across the court if you have to. Get the ball out of his hands. It comes down to Cat being able to either be an interior big, which he's not, or he's got to hit the outside jump shot, which he isn't doing that either. So like you're relying on Nickeil Alexander-Walker. You're relying on Jaden McDaniels, who is a defensive menace, but not really a scorer. And then you got Mike Conley Jr., he's good, but he's also 6'1". So it's like you can't expect. I want to say like, we can't expect Ant to go off of 50, but he can go off of 50, and they'd still lose because they're not able to get any other production from anyone else.
Yeah, I think the biggest part of this reason why the Timberwolves are down 0-3 is Kitty Cat.
It's 100% because of him.
It's all. You can point to other things, but the primary reason why they're down is Karl-Anthony Towns. His shooting numbers. So here's like some crazy numbers. Past 5 games. So I'm looking back to the last 2 games of the Denver Nuggets series. From 3 combined, the past 5 games, 4 for 32. 4 for 32. I don't know what percentage that is. It has to be like sub 20, sub 18. 4 for 32, man, from the greatest, quote unquote, the greatest big man shooter of all time. It's unacceptable. And then just in this series, the past 3 games, his field goal percentage, abysmal, absolutely abysmal. 30% in game 1, 25 in game 2, 27 in game 3. Like those are numbers that are just like unplayable. Like if you didn't have Karl-Anthony Towns as your name, you weren't no commodity, you were just coming into the league and those are your numbers, you wouldn't sniff the court. And if he was just bad, like if he went from being dog shit to just bad, we're looking at a 2-1 Minnesota potentially leading the series.
Yeah, it's been god awful. And to get the exact percentages for you, just the series, 13% from 3, 27% from the field. And that's supposed to be somebody that is, 55-40, right? Like that was I'm pretty sure that's his career. You can check me on that one, but I would imagine he's a 55-40 guy. 55, 40, 80, probably 55% from field, 40 from three, and 80 from the free throw line. But what's happening is not only is he not hitting the jump shot, but he's relying on the jump shot instead of trying to get into the paint and using, I don't know, his 7-foot frame, because he's I mean, Jimmy said it. He's soft. He's a big man that wants to be a two guard, and look at where we're at, where you get somebody that's on the other side, an athletic, more, I would say, like pep in their step big, that's like, I'm gonna go after you, and that's both Gafford and
Derek Lively.
Lively, and even Derek Jones Jr. He's gonna try dunk on everybody. So like everybody is just running to the rim, and like he's like, I don't want to be in there. And look at what's happening. Like they got Gobert doing spin cycles at the perimeter, and he can't get no help in the paint because for some reason Minnesota would rather switch Gobert onto Luka Doncic with the game on the line instead of, I don't know, have Cat maybe out there and potentially have him switch. It's just a very strange phenomenon that they got going on.
I did hear of a point Ramona Shelburne made. I think it was on Around the Horn that I was watching the show about the idea of Karl-Anthony Towns continuing to shoot from three when he's been abysmal the past couple of games. One of the biggest issues the Timberwolves are having is that we all know their alpha dog, their alpha wolf is Anthony Edwards. He's best when he's driving to the rim slashing. Like, he's phenomenal at that. They have to kind of have Gobert out there as a defensive anchor. So now we're talking about Gobert having to be on the inside. We have Edwards, who has to be at his best. He's driving to the rim. It's really hard to then have Towns playing down low. So like at their best, the Timberwolves, Towns is doing his thing at the perimeter, creating space for this team, and it's the cog that makes the engine work. It's fallen off the wagon so bad with Towns. The whole system that made the Timberwolves special this year offensively is just broken. One thing I would say maybe they want to try is, and here's the thing, like Gobert's playing okay. Like he's not a good offensive player, but he's not doing poorly on defense. It's like he's not the reason they're losing. If you had Towns paired with Naz Reid, you could then play Naz Reid on the outside, play Cat on the inside. But then at the same point, like, you need to have Gobert in the starting lineup to anchor your defense. So like, what do you do if you're the Timberwolves? Do you continue to ask Towns to spread the floor? Do you make a change to the lineup when you have either Towns sitting on the bench or replacing Gobert with Naz Reid, who's been awesome in the series? These are really tough questions for Chris Finch. Obviously, they're playing right now. They're doing pretty well. I just took a peek. I think the Mavs had 12 points in the first quarter. It's almost over. So something seems to be going right tonight, but offensively, it's just been a struggle.
What they're doing, at least so far in this game, is not shooting. They're going to the hoop. I think I looked at it. They had 3 attempted threes in the first quarter. 4. Sorry, 1 for 4, and 2 of them came from Anthony Edwards. None of them from Cat. So I believe the solution, or one of the solutions, I'm not the coach, right? I don't have the answer, but I think a solution would be, unfortunately, to get Gobert off of the court. I think you have to try to keep up with the offense of Dallas. You can slow them down. Yeah, they might take this one. They're up 20-12. Like, they might take this one, but is that like a long-term goal where like you think you can just outshoot them? You're not going to, right? Like I don't think that the Wolves are made or meant to hit threes. They're meant to get the ball in the paint, obviously play fast, and then play defense, right? That's their MO. But if you have Gobert out there instead of Naz Reid, you have one less perimeter player that can obviously extend to hit a jump shot, and you're clogging that paint while Cat's out there not being able to shoot.
I do also question, this is one of my questions coming into this game 4. Derek Lively, the third, or is he the third or the second?
I'll check.
I think he's a third. He went down with a pretty significant injury in game 3. I think they said it was his neck. They were questioning if he had a concussion. Maybe he's not playing tonight. He's been ruled out. He's been awesome defensively in the inside. Now you're just left with Gafford and Maxi Klebas coming in and playing some center minutes, who's not an interior force. He's a 3-point shooter. So we're probably looking at a game where now, in the past 3 games, the interior has been completely clogged up by these two great centers. And I mean great like in these playoffs. Losing one of them, I think the Timberwolves are going to have some more opportunities tonight getting to the basket and being more successful. I don't know how long Lively will be out. I would assume they try to get him back as quickly as possible if the Wolves win tonight. But if he continues to be out, it could make things at least spicy where maybe they win 2 games and I cash my bet finally.
It's all what it's about for you is you just want them to get the game.
I want to cash it, man.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see the after effects of that injury. 7 foot, 210, 215 pounds. Like that's a lot in the paint when it comes to rebounding and defending, or not even really defending shots, just changing shots. Where Ant will go up and dunk on anybody. We've seen it in this series. He went up and dunked on. I think it might have been Lively, to tell you the truth. He'll go up on anyone, but it's those I'm going to go up and then I have to change my shot and pass it out to somebody in the corner. And hopefully they hit that jump shot. Like that's what Lively will do. That's what Gafford will do. Gafford will chase you down as you're about to go up, or he'll even just hard foul you and say, get up. Right. Like that's his style of play. So we'll see. I think that injury would be huge if this were like a 2-1 series and the momentum was about to shift, but up 3-0, this is one that they could drop at home and then just go close it out. They've proven that they could win in Minnesota. So you can go close it out on the road.
Hey man, it's got to happen at some point. Why not us? Why not us? All right, let's segue into our Truth Teller segment. And for those of you new to the proceedings, this is a little bit of a quirky, weird one.
Big media won't tell you the full story, but we will. It's time to open your third eye and hear the truth. This is the Truth Tellers with Trudeau.
That's right. I'm here to tell you what big media doesn't want you to know. Those ESPNs, FS1s, they won't tell it like I will. Maybe they're a little more accurate, but we'll ignore that. D, you have a player on your team who is potentially a free agent this year. Who is that?
LeBron James.
Oh, LeBron James. Well, a couple things are going on in the universe of LeBron James. Number one, his son, LeBron James Jr., a.k.a. Bronny, entering the NBA possibly. Another interesting thing I noticed happened the other day. Cavaliers played the Boston Celtics. D, do you know who showed up courtside at their free time? First of all, who wants to go to Cleveland? But guess who showed up at the Cavaliers Celtics game?
That would be one LeBron James and one Savannah James.
LeBron James. So we have 2 hits for LeBron James in this. There was a little love note on LeBron James' seat as well. A bottle of wine. He loves his wine. Dan Gilbert knows that. D, one last thing. Does LeBron James do a podcast? Do you know? Is he involved?
Yes, he does one with JJ Redick.
JJ Redick. Now, where's that name? Where have I heard the name before? Coaching Searches. That's right, Coaching Searches. D, isn't it a little odd that right before we had that love note and bottle of wine for LeBron James, the king, right after that, the Cavs, what was in our rundown? Fired J.B. Bickerstaff as a coaching opening in Cleveland, Ohio. D, who doesn't love Welcome Home, the return tour, one last time. Last time he returned, though, they had a star guard to compliment him. Oh, wait, D, they do. They got Donovan Mitchell. They got plenty of players they can trade. They could draft Bronny James. D, I'm not saying, but all these things, why is that? all coming together perfectly. D. LeBron James, 2024-25 season, Cleveland Cavaliers, collision course. One more run with Bronny at his side. Bronny's going to start the same franchise LeBron did, get a championship with Donovan Mitchell. He's coming back home, baby. He's coming home. You in?
I hate that this is a potential possibility. I was waiting for you to do your actual close before you gave me the mic. So it's there's a few things that are coincidental, right? I think the one that makes it like a head scratcher is not so much LeBron James being a free agent. It usually always happens at the end of contracts. You opt out, you get the player option, you do it so that you can get the bigger bag, right? Like that's part of free agency. Usually contracts are front loaded. So like instead of him making 31 million at the end of this contract, he can opt out, sign back in for 60 million for another 5 years, and he'll get front loaded that 36 million versus the 31. So like it's all that's all monopoly pieces. But the one that was like, damn, that is kind of a head scratcher is the Bickerstaff firing after where they were 2 years ago to them making it to, game 6 of the second round without your stud point guard out there. And it's like you got pieces that you could move around. Donovan hasn't really been committed to Cleveland. And instead of keeping him in the area by showing stability, you fire the head coach. Maybe something's moving around where you could be bringing something in.
Darius Garland, see you later. You have Evan Mobley, probably worth a lot. You can get a third superstar. Remember the two cap space? You can get 3
slots.
And listen, if you want to win a championship, you go to the East. Easier.
100%. Easier road.
I'm just saying, and if LeBron were to ever leave the Lakers, the only team that he would get a pass for by fans, if he went back to Cleveland. No one's gonna hate on that.
I've seen Philly, I've seen New York. He's not going to either one of those places. He's got a compound that's being built in LA. The only place that would make sense, and I'd be like, I could see that one. It would be Cleveland because he could still have everything that he has in LA. He wouldn't be setting up shop in a new home. Although he did go back to Cleveland Mother's Day weekend. So I wouldn't put too much stock into that and him catching the Cavs game while he's in, Akron or Cleveland essentially. But it was more, the one that was the biggest head scratcher was 100% the whole firing of the head coach. In my mind, I'm like, if you guys are trying to pitch keeping Donovan Mitchell, why are you firing the head coach? In which he's already said he doesn't want he doesn't play a factor in picking the head coach. But you're going to get rid of the guy that might have gotten the most out of him. Like, he's been a stud. So that's when I was like, JJ Redick is getting all this talk about being a head coach, and you just fired the Cleveland coach. I don't know. So we'll see. I'm not ready to punt on that one. I think you might be on to something. But if there's only one team, I think, outside of LA, because I think he goes back. I think he is just a play of you decline the option so that you can make more money. But if he declines it to go sign in Cleveland, I'd be like, well, hey, that makes sense. They draft Bronny with the second rounder because nobody else will, and there you go. You got your restart right there.
If he stays in LA, it's just, I know you're a Lakers fan, and I mean this is all with all respect. They have, with all due respect, like, well, the Lakers, they're a good team, but like the Lakers, they're not going to win any championships the way they are.
I'm set, and I play the rule of 10, right? And I've said this on the show before. Give me 10 years. If you get a championship, I'll give you 10 years, right? Like, I'm not a Patriots fan, expect a Super Bowl every single year. It's unrealistic, unfortunately. Just not in the sports era. So, like, Lakers got one in 2020, I'm happy. LSU got one in 2019, I'm happy. Saints, it's been 10 years, so, like, starting to get pissed off with that one. But, like, I'm not going to be mad at the Lakers if they hit the reset button. And I think they're close to that area where it's like, I love the fact that he's there. One of the best players of all time. He's not my GOAT, but he is one of the GOATs. They're not winning a championship in the West with that constructed roster. It's just not going to happen.
Well, watch how I say all this, and then JJ Redick will be the head coach of the Lakers before this podcast drops, and I'll sound like a goddamn fool. Like
I mean,
always.
you got at least 1/3 of it right, or 2/4 of it. You know, you got the JJ Redick and you got the LeBron thing.
Well, I just want to thank everyone who's watching live and been hanging with us the whole time. It was a good show. I thought we talked some really good basketball, some nonsense at the end. But again, thank you guys all for watching. Thank you for listening on podcasts. Again, hook you guys up, hit all the buttons, rate, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. Everyone helps. Every little press of the button does a lot for us. So let's get out of here. Let's get to the quick hits and wrap up today's show.
The show is coming to an end. But first, it's time to get to anything we've missed. It's closing time. 1 segment, 2 takes. Now go.
Closing takes, time for us to get to anything pop culture, sports, whatever we want related. It's a little iso ball segment. D's got to take, I got to take. D, mine's a little somber. I'm going to let you go first because I don't want to kill the mood right off the back. By the way, just a quick side note. You see our boy Edwin Diaz, the one that we've created the segment based off of, the closer for the Mets who used to come out to Narco, has been demoted from his closing role.
Yeah, I literally was just searching that because I remember hearing something about his name on ESPN, and I was like, "What is the reason? What did I hear about?" And it's he blew another save, and they were like, "Get him out of there." So we might not be hearing the entrance.
we might hit a new closing song. He has a 13 ERA.
Oy, carambas!
All right, D, what you got?
Yeah, so mine is actually going to go keeping it in the association, but put the dub in front of it. Just a quick recap. I know that we didn't get a chance to bring it up in this segment. As you guys can see, summertime, our show is a little bit quicker. You'll see a different schedule as well, just because it's just not as much. We don't want to talk just to talk. We like to keep it as good of content as we possibly can. So a quick recap in the dub. The Connecticut Sun are the only undefeated team that's left. I believe they are 5-0 currently. You have Asia Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces. Asia Wilson is still another MVP candidate. That team is gearing up for another championship run, being the first team in WNBA history to potentially win 3 in a row. So that's big shouts to them, obviously, with Kelsey Plum and them girls. Next is the Fever, the Sparks, and the Chicago Sky all got their first dubs last week. So it was good to see the rookies get off the snide. The rookies in regards to Cameron Brink, who's in LA, Angel Reese, who's in Chicago, and obviously Caitlin Clark in Indiana. So it's good to see that they got their first dubs last week. But the bigger issue for me is, were you able to see what happened in the Chicago Sky game a couple of days ago?
No, but you will be proud of me. I turned off the Celtics game and watched some Connecticut Sun the other night.
Fair enough. Good stuff. I like it. So essentially, Angel Reese got a rebound. She went to go up, and as she went up, she got fucking clotheslined, like actually clotheslined. Flagrant foul, kicked the girl out, woman out. Like, it was bad foul. And it wasn't so much of the foul that I was like, oh, what the hell's going on? But it was more of the post-game response. So if you want to lower the music, I want you to hear this.
Really I'll pause the music.
Yeah. Just let me know if you can hear it.
Not just because I'm a rookie, I'm a player. I'm a basketball player. They don't give a damn if I'm a rookie. I mean, I want them to come at me every day. I want them to come at everybody. I mean, they're not supposed to be nice to me. I hope y'all know that. They're not supposed to be nice to me or lay down because I'm Angel Reese or because I'm a rookie. Like, thank you, AT, for sending the message to me, because I got back up and I kept going and kept pushing.
So that right there, granted the music that was in the background, I'm becoming more and more of an Angel Reese fan, like day by day. So there's a whole thing going on with these rookies, and we got to initiate them into the dub. And they're like, come bring it. Let's go. Like, if this is the case, you go ahead and bring clothesline. I'm going to try to get up. I'm going to knock you out too. But I also want us, let's take a step back too, because as much as y'all might not like to hear it, Ms. Clark out of Indiana has made this game extremely popular, more popular than it was a couple of years ago. Let's hold off on trying to injure people. Let's just not get there. I understand the rookie hazing, but clothesline and Angel Reese trying to take a head off or knocking out Caitlin Clark on a hard screen. The league doesn't need one of them to be out for 5 to 6 weeks. Let's just stop with that. Play hard, but let's not try to injure somebody that's new to the league.
I am excited. Well, I'm not excited for the NBA to end, the NBA season. I'm excited for this week, like 2 week gap or week gap between now and the finals. I'll probably watch a couple WNBA games. Shout out to FanDuel. I got a free promo code for a month of WNBA League Pass. I got to sign up for that. So I'll try to watch some games so we can talk. The only thing I have a grievance on is there's just not enough teams. So like, there's just literally one game on a night, and it's like starts at 10 o'clock. And I'm like, yeah, nah, that ain't happening.
They got 3 on right now, but go ahead.
Okay. My closing take. I'm going to fade the music down for this one because it's a bit of a somber one. I just want to mention that, over the weekend, I saw a story on ESPN of this golfer, Grayson Murray. I wasn't familiar with him. 30-year-old golfer. He was in the tournament. I forgot what tournament it was this past weekend, but he withdrew on Friday. And then you hear on Saturday, he was found like he's dead. And my thought was immediately like, oh no. Like, this is probably like suicide. Comes out a day later, that's what happened. And it's just sad, someone who's 30 years old, doing something that people would dream to do for a living. Like, you would think like this guy has the best life. He's young, making money, golfing. This is sweet. And he's obviously dealing with something mentally. And just a shout out to people listening. You might have a friend who has all the money in the world, seems like the happiest person, but on the inside, they're dealing with a lot of shit. So just check on your friends, see how they're doing. And if you're struggling, don't be afraid to open yourself up, spread your emotions, and, let someone know how you're doing because it could save your life.
Very respectful message. And this isn't even to say like it's ending on a somber note. Like I think I picked up what or at least try to pick up what Pat McAfee says at the end of shows. And I think I'm going to continue that with what we do here because it makes a lot of sense. Grayson Murray was a Raleigh native, and being new to the North Carolina area, obviously, like it's all over the news down here. So it's a tough one to hear, but essentially we say it all the time. Like just be a friend to somebody. You never know who needs it. So with that being said, I won't, delegate too much on it. Talks, I appreciate you being in here. You caught us right at the end of the show. So I'll give him a big shout out for commenting here with us over on the Twitch stream. Hopefully, if you're still playing in the Olympics, I'll be able to watch you guys moving forward. But as we say, when we're jumping up out of here, please, please, please be a friend, tell a friend, say something nice. You never know if it actually goes 100% and helping them out. More importantly, even better, he said that he's been here the whole time. As we say, when we dipping up out of here, please make sure you hit us up on all of our socials. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitch. Obviously, our website is at the bottom. We may not get an Instagram, but I heard the TikTok might be getting kicked out of the United States, so I'm not doing that either. But you can find us on all the other social.
I was just about to make the TikTok too, man. I was just about to do it.
Well, we've been fighting for these damn sweatshirts, and we finally were thinking about doing TikTok, and then they were like, "Nah, we're kicking it out of the States." So we're not doing that.
I am on my game so much today at the website's at the bottom today. www.frizzandthegrizz.com. One word.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. But you can also find us obviously tomorrow morning if you want for your morning commute, Apple Podcasts or Spotify. More importantly, when we getting up out of here, it is the summertime, people. So please make sure y'all take care of y'all mentals, like I mentioned. Obviously, everybody wants to look good. Take care of y'all physicals. Make sure y'all take care of y'all chicken. Take care of y'all children, and we'll catch y'all on the rebound.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, "Fool me once, shame on you." If fool me, we can't get fooled again.